This episode, fix your pressure washer. Hey, folks, have you ever had a pressure washer that doesn't work? Multiple times, of course, for me. Um, well, this week, John was actually fixing a pressure washer for a customer, and we were chatting about it. And he said, it's really not that difficult. We should do a show on this. So, lo and behold, we decided to do a show on fixing your pressure washer. Now, folks, we're not experts in pressure washers, but we will give you some tips and tricks on how to diagnose and repair your pressure washer. Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show, home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros Radio Show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled Fix Your Pressure Washer. And to help me explain, I have here the man of the hour, straight from the corporate offices of the Handyman Pros Radio Show. It is Mr. John
Yep.
S.
Yes, sir. Right here at the corporate office. And as you can see in the background. So
As you can see.
Yeah, I mean, we finally hit the big time. And
Sure we have. Yeah, we hit it, and then it hit us
there's
back.
a lot of VC money coming in. So anybody wants to invest, just hang on.
Johnny, what's the Viet Cong have to do with this? I don't get it. Anyway.
Yeah, well, you can go look at your local bank if it's still there. So
Oh, ouch.
So
Ouch,
anyways,
Johnny.
yeah, one of the things I've and you've done the same thing, I'm sure, is that we all have pressure washers, and a lot of times over the years, they go, and especially the pumps. I will
Yes.
tell you some of the little ones, it doesn't matter what brand specifically, but they kind of all use like those Honda little engines.
Yes. Yeah,
And
most
those,
of them do. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, those things are really good. And if you keep them, keep them up, they last a long time. Those engines. So it's like, why am I buying a new pressure washer when I can buy, I can fix the pump.
Correct. Well, you can
You can fix it, but it's easy to replace it, okay? But it's the bottom line is to fix the pressure washer so you're back up and running again. And I know a lot of folks out there are, they kind of get a little intimidated with these things, But, at the price of what pressure washers and everything is right now, I was talking to my neighbor and I said, "Hey, man," I said, "I replaced the pump on my pressure washer and take me hardly any time to do it, and you're back up and running for about $150."
Yep.
So anyways, that's what I did, and these things will wear out after a while if you mistreat them. A couple things about these things. It's really important to put some oil in that pump before after you use it. I know sometimes it can be a pain, but you can buy like a little can of oil that's in a compressed air can, and just screw the nozzle onto where the hose goes in and just blast it a little bit with some oil and just pull the cord a little bit when in the off position and just run it through the pump.
Yeah.
So
Now be careful that you use the right kind of oil.
It's a pressure, it's meant for this.
It's meant for pressure washers.
Yeah.
Don't put motor oil in there because it's a long story, but there's
No.
some chemicals in there that can eat away at seals
Right.
and things like that.
Right. But you can buy this in a little compressed can. So that's the one I use, and it seems to be the easiest one to use.
So, question, what is the biggest cause of failure in a pressure washer? Now, I'm going to use your speculation. I'll use my speculation on it. But what is the biggest cause of failure in pressure washers?
What I have found is that if you do not use the pressure washer when it's on and let it run, it's the bypass on these things. That takes the pressure off. So, your engine's running, but you're not actually pressure washing. And you shouldn't leave it like that as it's bypassing itself for more than like 5 minutes. Otherwise, it can start to damage the internals on the valves and things in the pump itself. The other thing is don't leave them out when it freezes.
Yeah, that's where I was headed, was one of
Okay,
them was
that'll
freezing.
pop everything.
Yeah, you can even crack the case if you leave, if you leave water in there.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll tell you another thing is make sure all of these pumps have oil in them, have
Yep.
actual oil in them. Make sure you check the oil. Don't run it without oil because that'll eat it up. What a pressure washer is it's a high pressure piston pump usually.
Yep.
Most of them are pistons. And so just like your car, except it's very high pressure, right? So keeping good seals, keeping things lubricated and all of that is really, really important. And two, by the way, the fluid that you're pumping also is a lubricant, right? So when you use your water, I know this sounds crazy, but make sure it's clean. Now, it doesn't have to be filtered or anything like that. But if you've got a problem with, like, I don't know, rusty pipes or anything like that, make sure the water's running clean through it before you start pressure washing it with it.
Hmm.
So just little tips and tricks, and then do winterize it properly and or keep it in a above freezing kind of place. I mean, it can freeze a little bit, but don't let it hard freeze is the point.
Yeah,
Don't let
because
it
then
get so
it'll
cold.
crack. Now,
Yeah, correct.
yeah, to your point, use good clean water. The thing is that a lot of these have screens on them. So where you screw your hose onto them, there's a screen there. Make
Right.
sure that thing is cleaned up. I've seen them where it's just been a total wreck. Crap all over the inside of that thing. It's just that's a
And
mess.
that'll stop efficient. It won't work right if
Exactly.
it's clogged up. I guess one of the other things is before you decide you even need to do these things, check to make sure you have full water flow through it, meaning that there isn't any clogs in the screens and stuff. You need that full flow of water. And if you have the technical capacity to understand the flow rates and things, some of these pressure washers require a lot more water than other ones. Johnny, remember that one I had with the 13 horsepower
Mm-hmm.
motor? If you weren't pumping 4 or 5 gallons a minute through that thing, it was not working right. So you had to have a very high capacity hose for that particular one. I mean, it needed to be full blast
Yeah.
on. Don't turn the water on halfway. Turn it all the way on. Make sure it's got
Yep.
full flow through these things. Because now it's different for the different models and things like that. But basically, the bigger it gets, the more water you need. Years ago, I worked for a company. We did jetters, and we actually I kind of forgot about this, Johnny, but they ran about 13 gallons a minute, and if you didn't put water through that thing, it starved and it burned the
Mm-hmm.
pump up. And we actually used 300-gallon tanks, and it'd blow through a 300-gallon tank in about 30 minutes. And at 4 to 5,000 psi, we could run those things up to 10,000 psi, which blah blah blah. Don't need to worry about that. That's for cutting things. But anyway, you've got to have enough water flow for it to work right. Other thing is, I know it sounds simple, but make sure that there's no blockages in the guns and in the tips. So if the tips aren't flow, really in most homeowner type pressure washers, you should be able to put the water on it and pull the trigger
And
on the
it'll
gun,
come out.
and water should be spraying out.
Yeah.
And if it's not, you've got an issue and you got a blockage somewhere, is what it is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
by the way, too, speaking of that, now that I think about it, before you run it, before you turn that motor on, you should make sure you have water through the pump itself by doing what I just said. So hook the water up, turn it on, pull the trigger on the gun. Because earlier I said this, and it's the same thing. I didn't think about it till just now. But you want to make sure water acts as a lubricant in these cases, and you have to have water in the pump. If you try to pump it without water, you'll burn it up very, very quickly. It's kind of like running your car without oil. Not such a good idea, right?
Right.
So,
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And these are all good tips to consider when you run a pressure washer. Because like you just said, these things will burn out. You can abuse these things and not even
very
know
much
it.
so.
And not
Yeah,
even
and
know
not
it.
even
So
know it. Yeah.
don't run it. Don't let it sit there and idle, too long. If you're, don't let it sit outside, running while you're eating lunch or something like that. Because it'll burn out. But I've got the old pump here, and you can go I think we got this off of Amazon. Look at
There it is. Yeah. So what is it, John? Is it 3 volts or is it two or is it four? It's generally changing a pump is very simple.
Yeah, it's got 3 bolts on it. There it is right there. And the whole motor, the whole engine itself will come off. So it's very simple. This thing just goes up underneath the shaft.
Yeah.
It's got a little keyway in there. and you're good to and you're good to go. I mean, just go get another one of these, and you're good to go.
And there are all kinds of styles of those, folks. So understand that some of them are small, like the bases are kind of small, and they'll be like 4 bolts on a small base. And it's just you just basically unbolt it, and the drive shaft of the motor will be there, and you rebolt it on. That's changing a pump out. It's really simple. It's
Yeah,
really really
it
simple.
is. It is. Now there are a couple things that get up underneath there, and I would say before you order a pump, get up underneath your pressure washer and take some pictures of that pump sitting there already, because it's the way that it's the pattern, the bolt pattern on these
Yep.
pumps can be a little different,
Yeah, I
and
can.
which way the inlets are and stuff like that. But once you have your picture and you know the orientation, there's a bunch of these things out on the internet. Check out the reviews. Some of them are very cheap, and then some of them are kind of OEM, exact replacements.
Right.
But this one came. It was identical to the other one, and it didn't take very long to fix, and you're up and running again.
And
So,
you're back in business, and you're going to save some money. And yeah,
oh
and
yeah,
to John's earlier point, most of the motors are really bulletproof. I mean, they really are. So you don't need to replace the whole thing. And then the cages and stuff are just metal tubes. I mean, unless they're rusted and falling apart, they're still good. They're going to last. They way outlast the pumps. All of these pieces of equipment outlast the pumps. But the only place I ever have any real complaints with pressure washers are they, for whatever reason, John. I don't know if this is your experience, but they put the cheapest wheels in the whole wide world on these things.
it's
God.
funny you should say that. You're exactly right. That's where they save. That's where they save money, and that's the big difference between a lot of these things, is the actual structure and the wheels. But you're exactly right. I would really like to get rid of the ones that are on mine and get something else, because it's a real pain in the butt to drag it around. Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Anyway,
yeah.
that's
That,
what
yeah.
tends to break on mine is the wheels. It's like
Yeah.
really. So
Now I will say that while I was at it, I changed the oil. Now on these little, like, I think this is I think it was a Honda 190 cc.
yep.
What I did was I bought like a siphon, or just a suction, and just stuck it down into the oil and sucked the oil out of the crankcase.
Available all over the place, including
instead
Harbor
of
Freight.
instead of putting this thing on its side and dumping it out,
Yeah,
that's
I
a
don't do
mess.
that. Yep.
But it doesn't take that much oil, maybe a half a quart, maybe. I don't know. But
Use the dipstick. Use the dipstick.
You'll figure it out. Google your model, and you'll come up with the exact amount. But while you're at it, check the air filter, and all that kind of stuff, and you're good for the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I've found that.
While you're at it, do your lawnmower too.
Yeah, well, and then we'll talk about that. But yeah, it's correct. I know we all have these pressure washers, and I thought, hey, let's just talk about, a lot of times they're failing. If the motor's still good, don't throw it away. Fix it.
So the other tip too, this is across the board for small engines. Don't care what chainsaws, motors, or lawnmowers, everything. Non-ethanol fuel, folks. Do not put ethanol fuel in a small engine.
If you can help it.
If you can help it. Do yourself a huge favor. And if you do, burn it all up. Run it through until it's gone. But if you can spend the extra money on non-ethanol, go to a marina or whatever you need to do. A lot of, like around here, Quick Trip has started carrying them. It's expensive. I'm not going to say that, but fixing a small motor that has had ethanol run through it, you might as well buy a new motor. And just don't, because you don't need to. Buy non-ethanol fuel. Yeah, it's $5 a gallon, but whatever. You're only using, how many gallons do you use in a season, Johnny? 5, maybe.
Yeah, it's not big. It's not a big deal.
So do yourself a favor. It's a huge, huge favor on that. Anyway, all right. Anything else on pressure washers, John?
That's it. And let's if anybody out there has any more tips on this, let's give us a shout on that. We'd love to hear it. It's like all these tools that we use, either as a homeowner or a handyman, we all have these things, and we just want to keep them running, especially in this day and age when everything's been, the prices have been going through the roof on everything. So
Yeah, it is what it is. John, did you pressure wash the spaceship the last time that you took that damn thing apart? That's my question. Did you clean it, or did you just take it apart and look at it?
Yeah, I think I've done enough looking. So, I think
Johnny, do you have your Interstellar A&P license yet? That's my question.
My Interstellar, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be working on it. Yeah, I'm an apprentice right now.
You're the apprentice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, if you enjoy this craziness we call the Handyman Pros Radio Show, please send us an email or send the link to your friends and family. We're trying to grow our listenership as always. We try to do a good job. We try to keep it lighthearted, but we also try to give you good tips and tricks at the same time. With that being said, if there's something you would like more information on, please don't hesitate to send us a question, a comment, an ask. Questions at handymanprosradioshow.com or handymanprosradioshow@gmail.com. Either way, also, we do have a Facebook group. We are at Handyman Pros on Facebook. Questions, topics, anything you want, send us some information because we'd love to get more shows out there for what you want to hear about, not so much what we want to blather on about. A lot of our stuff, just when we create these shows, comes from things we do during the week, and any different way. You'll hear Johnny and I always talk about this. Hey, we were talking the other day, and John's cleaning his windows, or John's fixing the pressure washer, or I'm doing a job at, whatever it is. And hey, we just thought of this tip and this trick and this kind of thing. So that's how we generate our lead gen. Or not lead gen, but our content creation. But we don't mind listening to your ideas as well, because we'd love to answer what y'all like to listen to. So give us an email, questions at handymanprosradioshow.com. With that, Johnny, we will see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.